Okay, today here we have in the box a 19-inch Kortek Imperial KT-1420 Alpha. And this was sent to me because it is in vertical collapse, and the other side of the box has all important information we don't want to show on the camera, so this is the bottom side. I have a compatible tube and a working one of these chassis for comparative readings to take and everything. So this was sent to me because it's vertically collapsed. It's already been capped, so it had collapsed before the cap and after the cap. So we know it's nothing that the person did who did this, or who did the cap kit. So let's open this up and take a look and see if we can get this one working. This aside. And they did me a favor by not using tape, because now I can reuse the bubble wrap. Okay. Yep, that is exactly what this is. So let's see if we can get this figured out. Alright, so here we go. Let's take a look at our neckboard transistors. A lot of times these will get worked back and forth and break off, so they appear to be okay. Gonna try to straighten them up a bit. A lot of times these get bent back and forth and the middle leg breaks off or one of the legs break off, so you have issues with color. But this all seems okay. It looks in relatively good condition, nice and clean. Oh, I say that until I turn the neckboard around. It's been reflowed. I don't see any bad joints from just looking at it initially, but it's a bit dirty. We can clean that up with some alcohol, not a problem. But for the main board here, it looks like a cap kit's been done and a flyback has been installed, all of which is available. Someone's gone through and replaced some transistors here and used a copious amount of thermal paste. I mean, I guess that's fine. Just looking around here. Fuse looks okay, the fuse inside there. Let's take another gander around. And someone's gone to some trouble to adjust the B+ pot, not sure why. You don't normally have to do that on these. But yeah, it seems okay. So I guess the first step in this is to verify that we don't have a broken vertical size pot. If we look here, vertical, let's see, H width, vertical height, this guy right here. Let's make sure that we don't have a broken vertical height pot. It seems good. Let's take a look at the bottom and then we'll measure it just to make sure. All right, let's take a look here. Yeah, not too bad. I mean, I think whoever worked on this did a pretty good job. We got some kind of situation going on here with this transistor that was changed. Some kind of situation here. I wonder, you can see here that it's, I can wiggle this about. Yep, I can wiggle that about, so I wonder if we have a broken trace there. Just we can check real quick. Always check your leads, and well, that's good. This one. Good. This one. We got another. If you look here, this one is damaged as well. Right here. It's kind of, there you go, it's lifted and folding on itself. There, you see I can push this down and it flattens out, so that's not the end of the world, but I don't think that the connections are a problem. So let's just kind of move past that for the moment. Okay. Vertical height. Vertical hold, I don't see any broken pads or cracked solder joints. Vertical position looks iffy, but I don't see any broken joints. Let's check our vertical height pot here. 102 ohms, 130 ohms, so it's not open. Let's see if I can get this in frame here. Okay, vertical hold. That's okay. Let's go here to here. That's not open. 130, 102. Does it change when I adjust it? Yes, it does. Vertical height is not broken. That's not our problem. Vertical position. Vertical position. Vertical position changes, so I don't think that's our problem. Okay. Well, there's some kind of chicanery going on here with this. That, I guess that's all okay. Let's go back to continuity. Yeah. Yeah. Well. Don't see anything initially. So let's fire it up and take a look and see, because you know, if there's nothing immediately obvious and all of our testing tests good. I haven't tested this yet, anything really other than just checking the traces, because I want to just fire it up. I know for a fact it works because the person that sent this to me sent me a picture of it in collapse. So I don't think it's a power problem. I just want to power it up and make sure it's collapsed myself to verify the discrepancy, which is usually always step number one. That way, if we find something, we'll know if what we fixed or what we found was the actual problem, if you catch my drift. So it looks like there was one capacitor here that got missed. You see all the rest of these have a little mark on it. Whoever did this kind of copied my method of marking the caps. This one's been replaced, but they didn't mark it. But this one here is original. This one right here is original. They did not change that one, and I don't know why. The solder seems okay on it. Let's go ahead and just fire it up on the tube and see if it's collapsed. And if so, we will go through and test. It's either going to, I can almost guarantee it's either going to be a resistor or the vertical IC. And I think that on this chassis, this chip right here is the vertical IC. I could be mistaken, but I'm fairly certain that it might be this. I don't have the schematics, so I don't know for sure. But I think it might be this chip. I'd have to look this up and see if this is a video encoder or if this is... Let me look this up real quick. What does this say? HA112... Let's see, HA11235. Okay, that is... TV synchronous signal processor. So I don't think that's a vertical deflection chip. That is This is used on many arcade chassis applications. Can be IC601. What is, let's see. Synchronous signal so I think this is the chip that handles the sync. So I don't think this is our vertical IC. I don't think this has a vertical IC. I think this is like the G07, where it has like this Q201 and Q202. I think these are part of the vertical here, because our horizontal is over here. The horizontal, the HOT is over here. So I think these are our vertical circuit. This circuit here is the vertical. But let's just go ahead and turn it on and verify it's collapsed, and then kind of go from there. So let me get the tube over here, get this hooked up, and see what happens. Okay, so we got it hooked up on the compatible tube here. This is an original tube and yoke for the setup for this exact chassis. And we're ready to go. We got anode, neck, yoke, ground, video, power, and there's no remote board. They're all attached to the chassis. So let's turn it on and see if it is in fact collapsed. And every single stinking time I forget to turn off my light. There we go. So here we go. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, comes right on. What do we have? A focus. Yep, collapse. Well, just as described. Well, that's good, because now we can at least see if we can fix it. So I don't hear any odd noises. It is working. We've got high voltage. We just have a collapse. So I guess back off it comes, and let's see if we can figure it out. I want to change out that one cap that wasn't changed and do some more inspection. And I have the chassis that came off of this tube. This guy right here. We can use this for testing and comparison. So I do notice that now that those two switches are facing or going away from the edge of the chassis. And these two are set towards the edge. So let's see if maybe flipping these makes a difference here. Okay, now they're going the way that they are on the other one. No difference. I can change them back and forth, and no change. So this is the position. This is the position they need to be in for this setup to work on a normal standard. This is a super high impact PCB. So I tested this system with this chassis before I even opened up the box that this one came in. I powered it up with this original one, and you can see here that these are set towards away from the edge, and so now those are as well. So that's the condition they need to be in. So they were in the wrong spot, but that doesn't explain what's going on here. So, but just for now, if you have these in the opposite position, you'll just get a rolling image. But I'm just going to keep them in the position where they're supposed to be. And you can see I have to jury-rig this because it's only doesn't have a separate position here for sync. It's on the edge, and I have to kind of run a jumper here. But so yeah, I think we'll have to take this off and do some more probing and see what we can find. Well, I've been at this for about the last 3 hours, and I'm telling you, these are one of those rare occasions where it just is very, very nerve-wracking. And very time-consuming, and you can tell how beat I am. But I think I found the problem. I haven't tested it yet because I found this, and I think this is the issue. If we zoom in here, I was doing some continuity testing. I tested all of the tested Q201 and Q202. Both of them were kind of butchered. You can see how I had to fix Q201 here was all butchered. I had to redo all this. Q202 was kind of butchered. I had to fix all that. And then it turns out that doing testing on all the caps, because the cap kit had been performed, I think I was told that this was collapsed prior, but I don't remember. But if we look at this cap here, C208, let's see if we can, how far we can zoom in here. Okay, C208. Now, this pad here, you can see, is basically gone. So I had continuity from here. It's gone now officially. But I had continuity from this pad going this way, but I did not have continuity from this pad going this way. So when I rang from the other end of this trace here to the pad, I had continuity. But when I rang from the other end of this trace through the pad to this way, on the other end I had nothing. So I took this apart and I found this busted pad. This one here is kind of busted, but it still has continuity. So if we zoom out here, this trace here, if we follow it, goes to this point right there. So I had continuity from this point, follow all the way down to here. I had continuity, but from this point here, if we follow it through to here, I refloated a bit. This point here to this pad was nothing. So I had no continuity across this pad to this capacitor. And that capacitor is a 50 volt 10 microfarad. So I'm going to put this back in, and I'm going to run a jumper to that trace. Actually, I'm not going to run a jumper, I'm sorry. I'm going to scrape that pad away and see if I can get this to work, because I think that's my problem. Like I say, I verified all of the transistors, I verified all of the caps are the right size, they're in the right location. I did everything you could think of. I tested the Q201 and Q202 and they passed. So I went ahead and swapped them out with this one over here. So the ones that are in, this is the working one that was originally on the tube that we're testing this one with, the bad one. I took the Q201, 202 out of this one, put them in here, and it made no difference. I took the two out of here, put them in here, and this one works still. So those, the two Q01 and Q02 vertical transistors, these guys here, are good. Both the original ones that were on here that are now in here, and the ones that were in here that are on here, that's all good. So it wasn't a Q201 or Q202 problem. And the Q403 and the Q401, those are for the horizontal circuits, so those weren't a problem. So that being said, I went through and verified point to point. I went to ground and tested every pin on this IC401. If we pull up the drawings and the schematics for this, which I have over here on the computer, it shows IC401s it's not the vertical IC, but it does get inputs from the vertical circuitry. You can follow the vertical size and vertical position and go right to this IC through some of these caps, and most importantly, it goes through this C208. So I'm going to fix this trace here, and after testing all that and going pad to pad, I went from ground to this point, this point, this point, this point, and verified that all these readings are the same as the one that works. So I absolutely am not suspect of IC401 at all. This is the only anomaly that I have found. From let's see, this point here. Let's zoom in a bit. From this point right here to this there is no continuity. And if you follow it, you can see that's where it goes. We can see from this point here, if you follow it, it goes right along here, up this way, through directly to that pad. So I had no continuity from this pad to here, but I had it from this pad up that way. Oh man, it's only been about 3 hours, but it's still, this was a fight. So let's see if I can get this soldered back in. I'm going to turn my fan back on here. And I need to go back and look and see if this problem had arisen prior, or if this was a result of the cap kit. And I think this might have been a result of the cap kit, or the collapse, I should say. Okay, so let's test that continuity there. So this goes from here through to this. That's good. From here up this way to here. That's good. And all the way through back to here. Okay, now what we need to do is scrape this away. And this. Let's see if we can make some magic happen here. Come on. Well, this is proving difficult. I'm gonna have to throw some flux on here. I'm sorry, this isn't the best angle or view here. I'm about ready to throw another cap in here that has the leg on it that I can bend over. Bend over. Yeah, I'm gonna probably have to do that. Yep, let's just take this back out. And let's grab another cap that I can. Let's see. I just had one. 50 volt 1. 25 volt 22, 54.7. Darn it, I mean, I just had one. 51, 5047. Alright, I'm going to cut away here and I'll find one and come right back. Okay, I found one. I found one. Apparently I only had one left. So here's the original. Gosh darn it. Here's the original 50 volt 10. Here's a brand new one, 50 volt 10. So let's just throw the old one away because I don't need it anymore. And let's get this one installed with the longer legs so I have some stuff to work with here. And it goes right here, negative, this way. Okay. Alright. And it looks like, well, no, that should be alright. The other side looks just as haggard here. I was lonelier than Kunta Kinte at a Merle Haggard concert that night. I strolled on into Uncle Limpy's home palace looking for love. Okay, so let's bend this way and fold it back over. There it is. Fold it that way, bend it back over this way. See if we can work some magic here. Let's just solder it in there. Alright, now let's bend it over here. Gosh dang it. Am I doing this the hard way? I think I am. There, that'll work. Now let's cut this off, get it out of here, and just go to town on this. I think that'll work. So let's cut this off of here. And now let's make sure our continuity is good. If this doesn't fix it, I am absolutely at a loss, and I'll have to keep going. I also changed out this one capacitor that wasn't changed, so I got that replaced. So all of the transistors check good, all of the resistors check good. I checked every diode, I checked every resistor, I checked every transistor, I checked every component that would cause this according to the schematics. And this is the only thing that I can see that would even close to make sense that would cause this problem. So let me get my meter back here, and just out of curiosity, is this... No, that still does the same thing, but it's a different board, so I'm just talking to myself here from stuff I was looking at earlier. Okay, so now we need to check from here to here. Yes, and that goes through all the way to here. That is good. Now, from this point to here is good. That should go all the way through to here. Yes. All right. So let me cut away here, get this back on a tube, and hopefully, fingers crossed, that was the problem. Well, that did not work. I tested it. It did not work, and the troubleshooting continued. And I actually got in contact with the owner of this, and he told me that this worked fine prior to the work that he did, but the flyback was arcing, so he replaced the flyback and did a cap kit as a precautionary measure. After that, collapse. So it was something that the original owner had done. So after finding that one cap with the trace that didn't connect and having the bad pad, I took every single capacitor out of the board and removed all the solder, checked all the traces, and I only found that one that was bad. So after repairing that, it did not work. I still had collapse. But in my troubleshooting, I found something out very interesting. So I'm going to turn this on. This comes back to life. Comes right on. That for some reason my transformer is making a noise with this. It makes the same noise with the other chassis, so it must be something with this chassis. But if I move this around, there, see, it shuts up and makes noise. So it could just be this is going out. I can't say. That's secondary. So anyway, so this comes back on and works, but you can see it's still collapsed. But watch this. Let me turn this light off. And I'm going to flex the chassis like this. In the frame, watch what happens. Well, look at that. No more collapse. I'm flexing the board right now. If I let go of the board, back to collapse. So we have a cold solder joint. Let's see if we can find it. Well, it's the next day, and this thing has just about defeated me in every way, shape, and form. However, I think I have found the problem. So if we go back a few seconds for you, a whole pretty much 24 hours for me, we saw that if I flexed the chassis here and flexed it, it would fix itself, but kind of stutter a bit. If I let go of the flex, it would collapse again. So I went through and reflowed every single pad on this chassis. Every single pad, and I checked continuity on every single trace. And there were two spots that I found that had bad pads from capacitors, from capacitor installs. Let's see, one of them was here, right here there was a bad trace. The whole trace was, or the whole pad was broken off and had no continuity. I got that fixed. It's good now. And then there was, where was the other one? Oh, though I already talked about, I think right here on this one, C208, this one had a bad pad as well. So there was C208 and there was C207. Both of these had a bad pad. But other than that, I didn't find anything else wrong. So I spent, I'd say about 2 hours reflowing every single pad and testing every single solder joint and every single trace, and I couldn't find anything else wrong. So after fully reflowing this, I turned it on and nothing. It was still collapsed. So I tried to flex the board again and it did not work. So after reflowing it, it still was collapsed and my flexing no longer made it work. So I was going freaking backwards. I just about lost my mind. So I had to put this away and go to bed. I only got like 3 hours. I think I worked on this from like 7 p.m. to about 3 in the morning. And, you know, I don't like to I don't like to get defeated, so I tried my best, and I just had to call it for the night. So it's not quite 24 hours. It's about 10 o'clock p.m. the next day. So what is that? That's let's see, that's 5 hours. So about 19 hours later, if my math is right. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong. I'm running on 3.5 hours of sleep. So after all that, I still had collapse. So I went through and painstakingly checked every component and everything that I could possibly do, and I couldn't find anything wrong, so I fired it up, and I still had collapse, and I just left it. I just left it for about 15-20 minutes just to see if it did anything, and I noticed after poking around and checking things that this resistor was not heating up. I thought that was very odd, so I checked the wires, and the yellow wire goes to this point right here, right next to C210. If we zoom in, we can see that there's a yellow wire and a blue wire. The yellow wire goes to this point right here. The blue wire runs to right here at this JV, and if you notice, it's not installed. Look at that. I found this wire sticking out of there. After all those hours of painstakingly reflowing and checking and continuity and all that stuff and testing components over and over and over and pulling caps, putting caps back in, I replaced this cap thinking this might have been bad. This was the one that used to be in there. I'm gonna put this back in because I don't think it's that cap. I have not tested this yet. Through all of my moving the chassis around back and forth, the G2 wire came out. I got to fix the G2 wire. But if we look here, this wire is not installed in its spot. So I think this was barely hanging on. Barely. It might have just been one strand in there, and over the years, it's just getting brittle from heat. The previous owner had done the cap kit and the new flyback and all the work to it, and I think just through the handling of the board, this may have come loose and only was being held in by 1 or 2 strands maybe, and it wasn't enough to pass the amperage to here. When I flexed it, a couple of more. Hey, I got a message. A couple of more strands happened to touch the solder joint and made it come alive for a little bit. But with everything that I've done, I am absolutely confident that if we put this back in there, this will work. So I am going to reinstall this wire into its correct position. Okay, I've already got the solder removed from the bottom side of the board. Get in there. Okay. There we are. Stay in there. Where did you go? Where do you go, my lovely? Where do you go? I'm telling you, this whole project here has just about zapped my will to live. I can imagine that you guys can understand what I mean. Let's get this. Do I have... Can I grab this and get some more out of this? Not really. Well, there's not enough wire left. It's kind of broken off. Let's see if we can get a little bit more length on this here. I don't have my strippers. They're out in the garage. Okay, now we're cooking with gas. Come on. Haha, there we go. Let's see. There it is. All right. So let's get the G2 wire. Oh, I relocated this diode here. I got to put this back on the other side of the board. This diode here, D504. The owner of this told me that he had replaced this, and I wanted to verify that it was good, and I couldn't read it from the other side, so I pulled it off and installed it on the bottom side just so I could do some readings. I need to put this back on the top side. But for now, for testing, we can leave it the way that it is. So let's get this G2 wire reinstalled here on the neck board. Alright, let's get some flux on here. That'll do, pig, that'll do. Okay. Can I push this through there? I don't think I probably can, but maybe I can work some magic here. Yes, all right. Fold that over. Well, I may not be able to. There we go. Okay. Well, I think we're now ready to test, and hopefully that fixes it, because if not, I'm gonna have to throw the towel in on this, and this will be the first chassis that has defeated me. I don't want that to be the case, but with everything that I have done, it has to be that. I verified the pots are good, they're not broken. I've replaced all, not replaced, but I took all the caps out, checked the pads, put them back in, found those bad pads, fixed those pads, checked every resistor, checked every diode, checked every trace, reflowed every pad, and the only anomaly was this resistor was not getting hot, and that's because that wire had come out, the blue wire. So that has to be it. If it's not, I have to call this one unfixable. It would be at a loss. So let's get it hooked up, cross our fingers, and see what we get. Yep, all right. Well, fingers crossed, let's see. Okay, moment of truth. We got anode neck, yoke ground, video, power, no remote board. All the pots are on the chassis itself. And I had to kind of jury rig the sync wire again. I think I mentioned that before because of the way that it has a 6-pin connector versus the 10-pin. So I had to take the sync wire out and hook it up with a jumper, but should be good. So, yeah, it has to be it. I mean, I even replaced I looked up the schematics for this, and it turns out that the sync, it's not just a chip for the sync. That chip there handles the horizontal and vertical inputs as well. So there's direct inputs to this thing from the vertical size pot. So I changed that out with another one, and it did not fix it, so I put the original back in. So if this doesn't fix it, I'm gonna have to call this one. So let's just see what happens. Fingers crossed. 1, 2, 3. Okay, it turns on. Please. Please. Oh, God. Oh, my Lord. Absolutely awesome. Oh, man. I'm just kind of kicking myself now because I should have found that before. And I'm speechless. Oh, we don't have any red. Gosh darn it. Well, and of course our flyback is too high. I was messing with that earlier. Right about there. Well, we don't have any red, but oh my God, yes. I was about to throw the towel in on this thing. I could not let it beat me. We'll have to figure out the red here. I think the red one is this one. Oh, hey, look at that. Nope, we got a broken leg or something on this transistor. So I mentioned that, I think way at the beginning of the video, that these transistors are very prone to getting broken legs and bent over because of how tall they are. Case in point. But oh my Lord, I'm so happy. You guys don't have any idea. This thing just kicked my ass. Okay, that's awesome. All right, I'm not going to worry about adjusting anything now. I need to fix the red transistor if I can, and I need to set up, this board. That's why I have this board for testing, because it does stuff like this. But I need to set up the meter to read our B+. I need to fix that red transistor, and I just can't believe it. All that, I mean, reflowing the entire chassis, doesn't hurt it, but I think that might have been a wasted time because I didn't even notice until after I had done all that and hooked this up, and I was trying to flex the board again that I noticed that this resistor wasn't getting hot, and that's how I found that blue wire not plugged in, or not soldered in, I should say. Oh, yes, all right. So let's get the red transistor fixed if I can. If not, I'll replace it. Let's get the meter hooked up and see if we can get our B+ set properly and kind of go from there. Then if we can, I'll get this all adjusted and we'll call this done. Of course, I'll let it run for a while like I always do. Okay, stand by. Let's see if I can get the red transistor fixed or the red color back, and we'll get set up to read our B+. Alright, so I was able to fix the transistor. It did in fact have a broken leg and a second leg that was about to break, so I just got a new stockpile of fiberglass pins. I was able to use the fiberglass pin to scrape away the oxidation from the heat that's generated over time and solder those legs back together. So now that should be good to go. I assume it'll work because it tested good comparing the readings to the other ones. So that should fix our red problem, hopefully. And we're set up to read our B+. So you can see here we clip onto this side the let's see, the blue wire. The blue wire just coincidentally is the one that was unhooked. The blue wire is what we hook our lead to for this pot here to read, this resistor here to read our B+. It should be at 117, just like the U2000s, 5000s, 7400s, and 7500s. It should be around 117. So we're set up to read that. And of course you adjust at the pot right there is where you adjust your B+. So we're going to turn it on and hopefully we're around 117 somewhere and hopefully we get our red. So let's see, 1, 2, 3. Nope, no, we're 108.6. And do we have red? Let's get past the ROM check here and see if we get red. Oh, it won't let me skip it. That's okay, it goes quick. Let's just see first here. And already that's looking better. Look at that. This tube has been rejuvenated, even though it has Tetris burn in. Yeah, I rejuvenated it, and oh, we got jail bars here, but we're also too bright. So if we turn our flat back down slightly to roughly there, nope, a little more, there. That's good. All right. And do we have red? We're about to find out. Yes, we do. Outstanding. So that fixed that problem. Let's adjust our B+ to see if we can acquire 117. There we go. Right on the money. Right on the money. And look at that. Wow. So now let's see if we can adjust our screen size, position, all that jazz. First, let's see if we can adjust our focus. That looks pretty good there. Okay, vertical size would be height, which is this guy right here. Oh, come on. Am I going the wrong way? Yep. Ah, nice. Vertical position. This guy here. Bring it down slightly. Increase our height. That's good there. And H position. Actually, needs to shift this way slightly. There we go. And do we have width control? Let's find out. Yep. We can see it shrinking in, and we can see it expanding out. And just off the bat, the colors are pretty darn good. Look at that, guys and gals. That is outstanding. Oh, man. Big thumbs up on this one. Took a lot out of me, but it did not defeat me. been a while since I've had one that was this tough to... Oh, we're much too high there. Hang on. Vertical or height here. Turn our height down. I think we may have horizontal hold. I'm not sure why we have these lines on top. It may be an issue with this tube. I don't know exactly, but I don't think that's an issue to really worry about. Quite honestly, it could be the board. I think what we can do... yeah, I mean, it's not too bad, but it's kind of messed up along the top here. I know it's not a cap problem because the caps are all correct. Why are we out of focus here? Come on. It's not, you can see up here what I'm talking about. It's not out of focus. I'm sorry, it was out of focus. Like I said, it's been 3.5 hours of sleep for me. It's not caps. They're all in the right position. They're all oriented properly, and they're all the correct reading. So that's not, I think that might just be the fact that this chassis is slightly different from this one. This one that I had on the tube, it's the same model, but it's slightly different. This has the remote board on it, so some of the circuitry is different. I think the vertical circuit on this is slightly different from this one. So I'm going to say that it's probably okay, and it's probably the fact that this tube is slightly different from what's required. Why does that keep losing focus like that? What's going on here? Weird. There you go. That looks pretty darn good. Let's see if I can adjust this while that screen is up. Nope. How about... there we go. There we go. Let's bring the position back down a bit. If I can see now. Height. Okay. I think that's good. Alright, so another successful repair. Gosh, easy for me to say. I always say hopefully you learned something. I know I did. Why? You stupid camera. I just got this a month or so ago and it's already making me regret it. Yeah. But as you can see, that looks fantastic. I always say hopefully you learned something. I know I did, especially on this one. So I'll let it run for a couple hours like I always do. I'm assuming it'll be okay. So thanks for watching. Like, share, and subscribe if you want. And I appreciate it, and we'll see you on the next repair.